Okay, the immune system. We're in chapter 43 now. Let's see. So the immune system needs to recognize and respond anytime you have a pathogen. Pathogen is a generic term for any agent that causes disease. It could be virus, bacteria, fungi, or protists. An animal's body is like a wonderland. It's a source of nutrients, protected setting for growth and reproduction, and a mean of transports to any pathogen that wants to use it as a host. But animals fight back. The immune system, we're going to have 4 parts here. The one we're doing today is innate immunity. And innate immunity is going to be active immediately. It's going to be made up of external barriers, chemical secretions, and internal defenses. And we're going to go through these. Adaptive immunity is only in vertebrates, and it's enhanced by previous exposure to an infected pathogen. It's more specific. It acts faster once you've already been infected with it before, kind of thing. All right. Innate immunity of invertebrates. The exoskeleton is the first line of defense. It's largely composed of chitin. I don't have a pen here. Hang on. There you go, chitin. That's the same thing that makes up fungal cell walls, right? And there's also a chitin-based barrier in the insect intestines. So it helps to block pathogens ingested in food. Lysozymes are enzymes that digest bacterial cell walls and also protect the digestive system. Hemocytes are circulating cells that travel through the hemolymph. Hang on. Jeez Louise. Hemolymph. Using my homemade stylus again, it's giving me problems. Hemolymph is mainly like blood for invertebrates. So hemocytes travel through the hemolymph, through the insect circulatory system, and some can phagocytize cells or pathogens. So pretty much you have this lovely pathogen here, and the hemocyte will form arms around it until it completely encloses it in a vesicle or vacuole, and then that merges with the lysosome, and it digests it and then gets rid of it. Other hemocytes will trigger the production of chemicals that kill pathogens and entrap parasites. Oh, I'm not done with this slide. Antimicrobial proteins can be secreted by hemocytes or other cells, and they bind to and destroy bacteria and fungi by disrupting their plasma membrane. Protein toll is a receptor on the surface of hemocytes. Signal transduction from toll receptor to the cell nuclei leads to synthesis of particular antimicrobial peptides active against fungi. Fruit flies. Another guy's doing research with fruit flies here. Bruno, your guess is as good as mine on that. Lemaitre. in France used modern genetic techniques to reprogram the fly immune system, and they found that a single type of antimicrobial peptide in the fly's body could be an effective immune defense. In vertebrates, innate immunity of vertebrates, barrier defenses mainly have epithelial tissues. Since you told me I overestimate your vocabulary. Epithelial tissues block the entry of harmful viruses and bacteria. It's really hard for a microbe to get through your skin and mucous membranes that line your digestive, respiratory, and tracts. Mucous membranes form mucus, a viscous fluid that traps pathogens and other particles. In your trachea, which remember in your pig was that tube that was wide and had ridges, and on top of it was the thyroid. In the trachea, there are ciliated epithelial cells. Just means they have cilia. And they sweep out mucus with its trapped pathogens and prevent them from entering the lungs. Fungal and bacterial colonization is also inhibited by the washing action of saliva, tears, and mucus secretions that continually are on your skin. Chemical defenses. Okay, wait, let's go back to that for a minute. For all of you who are germaphobes, did you hear that? That fungal and bacterial colonization is inhibited by the action of your saliva, tears, and mucus secretions that continually bathe the exposed epithelium. If you're washing that off all the time, that could be bad. All right. Chemical defenses, you have lysozymes, again, enzymes in tear, saliva, and mucus secretions that kill bacteria in the upper respiratory tract or opening around the eyes. Pathogens in food that are swallowed get trapped in the mucus and go to the stomach, where stomach acid is going to destroy most pathogens before they can get to your intestines. And then secretions from your sebaceous, CBACCOUS, and sweat glands. Sebaceous is mainly oil glands. This is also going to give your skin a low pH, 3 to 5, and that's acidic enough to prevent colonization by many pathogens. Cellular innate defenses. Your main thing that's going to go on here is phagocytosis. Again, that wrapping around a pathogen and then engulfing and digesting it. Let's see. Phagocytic cells detect fungal or bacterial components through receptors that are like those toll receptors of insects. They are called TLR, toll-like receptors. You have TLR3. Is that in the picture? TLR3 here. On the inner surface of endocytic vesicles. And it's looking for double-stranded RNA, which is a characteristic of certain viruses. Then you have TLR4, which is on the outside of the plasma membrane, looking for lipopolysaccharides, which is found in many bacteria. And then TLR5 here. Hang on. Okay, I think I was talking about TLR5. And it recognizes flagellin, which is a protein that composes bacterial flagella. And then we talked about you have that cell that's going to be engulfed, and then you make the membranes combine or continue, and what you end up with is a vesicle, some bacteria or whatever, and it's going to combine with a lysosome, which is like your recycling center of the cell. They combine. And then there's a couple of things that can happen. There can be gases that are produced by the lysosome here, get there, that are going to poison the pathogens, or there's enzymes that are going to degrade and just break down the pieces and digest it. Then we have, what's next? Neutrophils. Neutrophils are going to be circulating cells that engulf and destroy pathogens. Macrophages are larger phagocytic cells. Some go through the body. Others are permanently in organs or tissue, where they're likely to encounter pathogens like your spleen. Then you have dendritic cells that populate tissues that are in contact with the environment. And they act to stimulate the development of adaptive immunity. Eosinophils defend against large invaders like parasitic worms, and they'll put themselves right up against the external wall of the parasite and then just discharge destructive enzymes, just like bomb it. Natural killer cells. These guys circulate through the body and detect abnormal array surfaces of proteins, and that's characteristic of some virus-infected cells and cancerous cells. But they do not engulf the cells. They release chemicals that lead to cell death, and so they can actually inhibit the spread of viruses or cancer. And then sometimes all of this is helped out by your lymphatic system. You have lymph going through your body. Some macrophages reside in your lymph nodes. You can see the lymph nodes here in yellow. If they're hanging out in your lymph nodes, they get pathogens that have gone from your interstitial fluid into the lymph. You have dendritic cells that reside in the outside of the lymphatic system, but migrate to these lymph nodes after an interaction with a pathogen. And then, let's see, antimicrobial peptides and proteins. Interferons are going to interfere with a viral infection. These are secreted by virus-infected body cells. And what they do is they make the cells around them produce substances that inhibit viral reproduction. So it's limiting the spread of viruses from cell to cell and helping to control that infection. Some types of white blood cells secrete a different type of interferon that helps to activate macrophages. Interferons can be produced by recombinant DNA technology and have been proven effective in the treatment of certain viral infections like hepatitis C. Let's try that again. Hep C. The complement system consists of about 30 proteins. in blood plasma that circulate in an active state and are activated by substances on the surfaces of many pathogens. There's a cascade of biological reactions that leads to the lysis of invading cells, and it also helps function in the inflammation as well. The inflammatory response. Yeah, there's a O there. If you have damage to a tissue by physical injury or pathogens, it may release to, you'll have a chemical signal that is histamine. You've heard of, why is that not working? You've heard of antihistamines like Benadryl. They stop this response. But a histamine is stored in mast cells, and mast cells are a type of connective tissue. And when injured, the mast cells release the histamine, which triggers dilation and increased permeability of the nearby capillaries. And then activated macrophages and other cells just discharge cytokines, which signal the response. Signaling molecules that enhance the immune response. What's going to happen is the cytokines are going to increase your blood supply, and so that's going to increase blood, and that's going to lead to the redness and heat that goes along with inflammation. And then your blood engorged capillaries leak fluid into neighboring tissue, and that causes swelling. Oh my goodness. Apparently I should just pay money for a stylus. Red, heat, swelling, signs of inflammation. Let's see. What do I have next? Pus. The end result of all of this is an accumulation of pus, which is a fluid rich in white blood cells, dead pathogens, and cell debris. If you have a systemic response to a severe tissue damage or infection, you may have additional neutrophils from bone marrow, and you may even have the number of white blood cells increasing significantly within hours of the initial inflammation. Another systemic response is fever. Fever may occur when substances released by activated macrophages kind of reset your thermostat at a higher temperature. And that could enhance phagocytosis and hasten tissue repair, or speed tissue repair. Septic shock is characterized by high fever, reduced blood flow through capillaries. It's life-threatening. It's fatal in more than 1 in 3 cases. But pathogens are figuring out ways around this. The outer capsule that surrounds certain bacteria, we've talked about some little bacteria have like a sugar coating, and it interferes with your immune system being able to recognize them, and it interferes with phagocytosis. Some bacteria, even if they're engulfed, they resist being broken down within the lysozymes. Tuberculosis does this. And instead of being destroyed, it grows and reproduces while it's hidden from the body's innate immune defenses. And it kills more than 1 million people in a year worldwide. Here is a kind of summary of what we're doing today and tomorrow. This would be a good figure to have. Sorry this is long. This will be the only one tonight.